of the braking system to put a little bit more juice into your battery and then flick it back to normal whenever you want to deploy that. But there are some tricks that some drivers do, which I'm not going to disclose because both me and George know how they do it. But lap 14, Adam Thompson still chasing down up in front. Debbie 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits, as I believe that may have been Phantom Ricardo getting out of the way of back marker traffic. So now Edward Fleming leads this pack in the DRS train. Looking at the battery level that Adam Thompson has, it's probably not quite enough to overtake. Might need to start thinking a little bit smarter on how they're going to do that one. Huge lock up by Edward in towards the source, turn 1. George Biel, though, on his own. No one nearby to fight with Chewy in P7 at the moment. Again, they're just sort of on their own, enjoying their own Grand Prix. George with, I'm sure he'd be happy with the P6, having finished P9 in Silverstone. But looking ahead, not really much movement going on, just the DRS train and the slipstream and the dirty air that all the drivers have to think about when they come around this track. But the pole, what I forgot to say, because I got a little bit surprised by how quick the race had actually started, was it's 165 meters from pole to the braking point at turn 1. So compared to most tracks, there is not a lot of wiggle room in order to get that overtake and hit that second phase. But on your screens there, you can see the penalties at the moment. Fleming, Bomber, W1 and Derry 3 seconds for exceeding their track limits, with the 10-second speeding in the pit lanes still going to AGL and Smudge. We've got yellow flag in sector 2 and that now has gone back green, so not too many issues, probably a little bit of an off going through Pouillon at lap 15 of 22.
Yeah, not far to go now in this Belgian Grand Prix. I tell you what, Jack, did you know the race here has been won from pole 27 times in the Grand Prix's 70-year history, with the most wins going to Michael Schumacher. And it's the only person to have a title decider here in Spa in his dominant 2004 season. I don't think we'll be having that in round 2 this year, so we won't have a title decider until later on into this Pro League season. But we're looking at Proven now, trying to catch up to Phoenix, but that gap is eking away just bit by bit. Phoenix really, really on the run. You could say, especially with what's on this week, he is definitely rising like a phoenix.
No, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that at some point. Stop. And also stop stealing my track facts as well. That's like you've literally just clocked off 3 of my facts at the moment. This is not fair. But Adam Thompson,
Jack, it wouldn't be us commentating if I wasn't taking your stats.
That is very true. That is very true. But up ahead, though, Runes goes very deep, a little bit too wide into Brussels. Anderson did close up to gap to around about 0.4 of a second. Can he capitalise on that mistake that Runes has done? As Runes, that mistake that you can see to Edward Fleming is just pulling him outside of that DRS zone. But here's a fact that you probably already have. But back in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to score their maiden Grand Prix victory at Spa. Michael Schumacher did in 1992. So quite a few years back, and I'm guessing you probably already have that fact with you. But anyway, Runes is still chasing down that podium position. Edward Fleming making amends for that puncture. Hopefully we won't see one in this Grand Prix. The clear skies are now forming here in Spa, but Fleming holds on to P3. Phoenix now ekes out another second onto Proven, with Runes and Adam Thompson still chasing down that 3rd position. However, 10 seconds of penalties for speeding in the pit lane again loom down on Edwards, so that currently will drop him down into P6, giving Runes the P3, or currently net P3 towards the end of the Grand Prix as it currently stands. So still plenty of laps to go, plenty of tarmac between them, 4.35 miles. But here's a move on Adam Thompson, or move for Adam Thompson. But the problem is he's not tucking into the slipstream. He doesn't have the battery. He does have the DRS, but not quite close enough. They need to figure out how to harvest their battery around this tight, twisty section of the Spa circuit, and only then will you be able to capitalize using the battery and the DRS. But then again, George, both cars have got DRS. They're just neutralizing themselves, and it's down to who's got the bigger battery.
That's it. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Runes with DRS on Edward Fleming as well. They cancel each other out, so it's simply on slipstream and battery. That's all that you're going to be able to do. We can see there, Runes, though, definitely deployed a lot of his battery trying to attack Edward Fleming. You can see that rear rain light really starting to flash. It normally means they're below 20% battery when that starts flashing, so they're having to really recoup that battery coming around here. But unfortunately, with the nature of this track, especially where they are now, they're not going to recoup a lot. Adam Thompson really starting now to close this gap on into into Blanchimont. We might have a dive here into the bus stop chicane. I think we are into bus stop. They're side by side, but it's not quite enough there. Oh no, it's getting very, very tight.
He's looking for the switchback.
Can get the better of two. He's looking for a switchback, maybe not trying to get there. He's going to have another run into the source. You can see that he's getting closer. Decides to go for that outside line to try and throw Runes off guard there. And I think he does. He does make it stick, but it is going to be a real big fight here up into Eau Rouge. You don't want to be too abreast there. They're not too abreast, luckily. But Runes now might have a little bit of advantage because Adam Thompson has used a lot of his battery.
That he has. Great side-by-side racing from these drivers. Looking behind, Runes with the DRS. Nothing else that he can do at this point. Just has to sit and recharge the battery. But you can see now on Runes' car, on his car, 30% tyres, because you can see how hard he has now been pushing, but also the fact that he's been stuck in that dirty air of Adam Thompson for so long. It will overheat your tyres. They'll start to degrade a lot more. We just call it deg because I can't say the word, but that battle's still going. But it sort of cascaded. Oh, sorry, Edward's got 3-second penalty, not 10-second penalty, so my correction from earlier. But that all sort of started going through the bus stop. Huge snap there from AGL. Bacon and pancakes side by side. Does get the switchback. Still side by side going down into the source into turn one. Who's going to be last on the brakes? And it looks like Bacon and Pancakes is ahead, but AGL will be able to come back at them through the DRS. Looking at the batteries, a little bit of a deployment. Yeah, I'd say roughly the same as Runes, though. 3-second penalty for exceeding the track limits. So this is going to be a sigh of relief for Adam Thompson because both car in front and car behind have the 3 seconds. But going on to the little battle that happened, it all sort of stemmed from Edward Fleming. He kind of went a little bit late going into the bus stop by the looks of it, or a little bit earlier on the brakes, and that's where it closed everyone else up. And then as Thompson was trying to get out of the bus stop, cook a little bit of oversteer, get a little bit too eager on the throttle, trying to get that move done. And then that just sort of set Runes up for a little bit of a switchback line. So them three are pushing each other. But with them fighting at the moment, there is no challenge up front. 4.6 seconds the gap now between Phoenix and Proven, with the battle for the third step on the podium still there as Runes now dips just outside of the DRS. But again, George, remember we were saying earlier about it could rain on one side of the track and be dry on the other. It looks very grim in sector one into the calm down the Kemmel. But then when you start getting towards the bus stop, it starts to brighten up a little bit. So, yeah, are we going to see a last minute bit of rain with 3 laps left to go? No, 4 laps left to go. 19, 20, 21,
I'm kind of hoping so. I'm kind of hoping so because I think it will really spice the grip. At the same time, I don't think we need it. This race has been thrilling enough, even without the rain, that we don't really have to worry about it. We've got a yellow flag down in sector 2. Maybe someone just going a little bit wide. It's still yellow, so we wait to see what's happened there. It's gone back green. You can see there, BR8 having a little bit of grass on his tyres, just getting that scrubbed off a bit. But no, I think if we did have a little bit of rain, it could go wide. Oh, as BR8 goes too wide there, that's 3 seconds. It's got the penalty. It's not going to affect him too much to the car behind, however. There is a 12-second gap, so I think he's okay there. But at the end of the day, it's the nature of Spa. It always delivers. It's the one race I think every F1 fan looks forward to on the calendar for the pure fact anything can happen, and it's been proven here tonight, Jack.
Absolutely, it really has. And one thing I think they should actually introduce is the Spa backwards. I know you can do it on the game, Spa in reverse, going down Rajon and Eau Rouge, because obviously we're in reverse, is actually quite fun, I'd say. At least BR8 just goes a little bit deep on the brakes into the bus stop, but still chasing down Chewy. That battle, though, for P3 at the moment. Adam Thompson is doing enough. We said earlier he's a little bit of a dark horse in going off the qualifying in Silverstone to the qualifying here. Started in 4th, but is looking at a top podium, but no.
Hello and welcome back, you wonderful people. We are here for week number 3 of the BFBS Pro League F125 qualifiers, and I am back once again with a dynamic duo from last week. Now, how are you both doing this fine evening?
Yeah, really good, Affinity. It's good to see. It's good, Bell. Good to see you again. Good to see George again. Everyone back home is tuned in, watching.
A couple of technical issues.
Oh, not again.
Okay.
Is that gone again?
Let's start again.
Are we good?
Hello, I've asked how you two are doing. I've hyped everything up. How's this evening going? Other than a couple of tech issues to start us off. You both doing okay?
Yeah, we'll try again. Now you should be able to hear me.
I can indeed.
There we go. Yeah, no, really good. Happy to be back again with yourself and George and everyone tuning in, watching at home. Yeah, it's race 3. Anything can still happen. It's Formula 1. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly, and I think today is going to be the epitome of that as well. So let's take a look maybe a little bit at the format coming on forward, Jack. Whilst we sort out the issues, do you want to talk us through, the format for today, the format overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go into our standard qualifying session, short qualifying for 18 minutes. The drivers will get to have as many runs as they wish during them 18 minutes, as long as they do have the sets of tyres to make them go to the end of that session. From that one, we're going to go into the race. It's going to be a 50% length race here in Singapore. And as per the F1 rules, each driver must use 2 different compounds of tyres. Whether they start on the hard tyres, they will then have to change to a medium or soft, unless it is wet, where they can choose. They'll have a free choice of tyres. Going from there, then we go on to the point system for the Grand Prix. So qualifying, the top 3 will be awarded points. So for qualifying P1, you get 3 points, P2, 2 points, and P3, you get 1 point. After the race has concluded, the top 10 drivers will score the points in accordance to the F1 system, with your winner taking home 25 points, and the last point in 10th place, well, they'll get obviously that single point. There is a bonus point on option for the fast lap of the Grand Prix as well, so you can get a decent haul throughout the course of a single Grand Prix. But we do have also the drop 1 rule, where one of the lowest scored or lowest points scored over the course of the 8 weeks will be removed for that individual driver. So plenty to look forward to, plenty of points up for grabs, and plenty of racing to look forward to.
Exactly, and this is just the beginning as well. The championship standings, well, it's quite interesting this week, because number 1 in the standings with 48 points is Proven, and I do believe that he's not here this week, so there's a chance for some other people to start getting up there. There's even, albeit a small possibility, a chance that we see overtakes happening for that first place overall. But let's take a look at who we are going to see on the grid this week, and is there anyone that you're looking a little bit excited for?
Well, looking at it, if we look at the standings, we need to look between 7th and 11th. It's a 10-point gap. So we're going to be looking at Bomber Brown, George BL, BR8, Stevie Mac, and KS Pryor. A couple of them aren't here tonight, of course. But those guys there, they're in a very tight championship battle there, even if it's just for 7th place. But then we look at Edward Fleming and Chewy, 5th and 6th as well. Same amount of points so far. So it is going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, we've got Phoenix in tonight. Phoenix ran away with it last week. So that's going to be interesting to see how he goes around this circuit. But Singapore, anything can happen. It is one of the tightest tracks on the calendar. It's Monaco at night. You make a mistake, you could be in the wall.
Exactly. Now, let's actually take a look maybe a little bit at last week. For those that maybe didn't quite catch it, haven't had a chance to look at the VODs. Now, tell us, you know what, we'll start off with you, Jack. Tell us what you remember from last week, any highlights, anything that you think we might see dragged across thematically this week.
Well, like George said, the mid-pack battle that's going on between P7 and P9, you were saying, with George, BR8, Stevie Mac, and and Bomber, those are the types of battles that we're looking for. Now, going back to last week, is we saw quite literally a 10-lap battle, nose to tail, around Spa, not Spain, by the way. Someone did catch me out on that one. I said at the end of Grand Prix it was Spain. It wasn't. It was Spa. So I do apologize. But we saw that great battle for P3 between Edward Fleming, Runes, and Adam Thompson, and it was anyone's game. We saw maybe a couple of goes up the inside, a little bit of contact going into the bus stop. But at the end of the day, it came down to the cleanest driver, and that was Adam Thompson. Looking at the penalties that were given, it was just a 3-second penalty for Edward Fleming quite early on in the Grand Prix, but couldn't serve it in the pit. But it was towards the back end of the Grand Prix, maybe a few laps to the end, Runes picked up that 3 seconds for exceeding track limits. And it was just at that point, Adam wanted to take it on track. He was an aggressive driver. He wanted to get it clean on track, but he did what he needed to stay within that pack and get that podium position. And it literally just came down to penalties.
I did. Anything else that you want to add there, George? Anything that you think really is worth singing the praise about to bring back up as we head into this new week?
I think all round, like the battles all round last week showed why these guys are in this league. You know, it was tight racing throughout. I think we have to mention it just for the pure fact. All I've heard this week is about it. And it was the dive from Bacon and Pancakes into the bus stop chicane. It was a move that no matter what chat I've been in, it's been mentioned, and I have watched it over and over again. And the chat loved it as well, hearing us go, whoa! That's just how me and Jack are. We get excited for things like this. So, no, the whole race was incredible anyway. So, absolutely. This week, hopefully more of the same.
Now, I will say, overall, I believe there was 9 drivers that got penalties last week. So it was a little bit more chaotic than maybe we initially saw at the end standings there. But I think the 9 penalty sort of thing leads us perfectly onto the chaos that I think we're going to be witnessing today on the track. And I think there's a brilliant quote that we can bring on up here. Talking about what we're expecting to see. So they said in the Discord earlier by Hot Devil Dog. It's just a little FYI for you all, for all you lovely ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, Singapore, I'm taking prisoners, not intentionally. I've been around the track once or twice now, and it's pretty loose for me. And if someone's in my way, unfortunately, I'm taking you with me. And do you think this encapsulates what we're going to be seeing, or do you think maybe this might be a little bit of one of the extreme ends, and maybe the other side of the scale will balance it out?
You know what? It's Singapore. That's all you can say. George, you covered it perfectly. It's Monaco at night. Anything can happen. The walls come up onto you extremely quick. Penalties wise, though, I don't think we're going to see too many on track, because it's quite hard to get your track limit violations here. There may be one corner which is maybe down in like turn 14 where you might, but that's usually an in-game thing. But what I am going to say, I'm probably going to call it now, is I'm probably going to expect to see quite a few speeding in the pit lanes here in Singapore. It's on the final corner or second to last corner, and that pit lane limiter line comes up on you very quickly. And they have upped the speed of it. I can't remember if they have it in the game or not. From I believe it's 60 kilometers now to 80 kilometers an hour, or somewhere along that lines. But that line comes up on you so quick. So if you're not careful, you'll either go back onto the track, or you'll get into the pits, but you're just going too quick. So we could see a few 10-second penalties, and that will be huge, especially come the round of pit stop if they have to stop again.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to ask you, Poundland, as well. Do you have any predictions? Anything that you can see going wrong here? What are your hot takes for today's race?
I can vision a safety car. And it's because it's Singapore. The walls come up quick here. I could see someone just making that mistake and causing that safety car, which, you know, will spice the racing up. It will absolutely be all-out war for who's going to try and win this race, because overtaking around here, we're looking at the track now, 3 DRS zones on this track. So there's not a lot of opportunity here to make an overtake. So those DRS zones are going to be important.
I'm going to leave this track in your very capable hands, and I'll let the two of you take it away.
Thank you very much, Affinity. But there you go. As George said, here is the Singapore track view, the Marina Bay Street Circuit that held its first Grand Prix back in 2008 and F1's first night circuit. But 3.06 miles, 3.07 if you like to round it up, with 19 corners, 12 to the left and 7 to the right. The walls come up on you pretty quick around here, and there are several places where you can just dip your wheel into the barrier as they stick out a little bit, especially towards turns 10 to 13. So all to play for around here, and definitely an exciting one to watch. And hopefully, George, some of the liveries are going to be nice and shiny under the streetlights.
Yeah, hopefully, absolutely. You know, like we said, this was our first Grand Prix in 2008, and it was the very first night race we had in the Formula One calendar at the time. So under these lights, it's going to look incredible. And you're probably thinking, why do they need so many lights? It's so that the drivers can see what they're doing, because F1 cars don't have lights on them, believe it or not. But also it mimics daylight conditions, these lights. I think it's something like 14,000 floodlights they put around the track. You might have to correct me there, Jack. So it is probably one of the best. It's probably one of the best tracks on the calendar, in my opinion, at night, because the racing always spices up. We could talk about 2017, for instance, the first wet race in Singapore, where we had Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, and Max Verstappen all being collected at the start due to the Ferrari squeezing Max Verstappen, and it was chaos.
It was, and I do remember that race quite well. But what some eagle-eyed viewers may not know is that we're actually racing on the newer configuration of the Singapore Grand Prix. So with what's commonly about this one is towards the third sector, you would have the little stadium section where there's a couple of 90-degree corners before you hit onto that the start finish straight. Now they did remove that only in 2023, which is the first major track change since they smoothed out or got rid of what was commonly known the Singapore Sling Chicane. So doing that one definitely gives a lot of opportunities, or more opportunities, to overtake, because by removing that stadium section gives you a fourth DRS zone. Sorry to correct you on that one, George. So they've added a fourth DRS zone to improve overtaking, and hopefully we can see a couple of drivers do that, well, perform that movement. But battery is going to be critical around here if they can get the move done before 16 and 17 and have enough to pull away by the time they get onto the start finish straight. So hopefully now the drivers are loading up in the lobby, ready to start their qualifying session. But George, any predictions on where someone may go off, where a safety car may get caused?
Well, we saw it in 2022, I believe, or 2023. George Russell having a great battle for third. I think it was Carlos Sainz, George Russell, both having a really good battle, to the point where George missed his braking point, hit the wall as he was braking, and slammed straight into the barrier at turn 10, which obviously was the old Singapore Sling. So that could be somewhere we could see incidents. There is the bridge before the second DRS zone, or the third DRS zone, I should say. That will be another interesting area where we could see some overtaking, but mainly it's down the main straight. The main straight is where we're going to see a lot of these overtaking moves. It's not the longest straight in terms of start-finish straights, but dives into turn one, we've got that little bit of runoff on the outside. So that may help going into turns 1, 2, and 3. That we could see some overtaking there.
That we can. So what we'll do is we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, it will be qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix.
127.5. Adam Thompson out of absolutely nowhere. 127, but proven. They have proven themselves. A 126.2 takes them to the top of the slot for now. Yeah, very solid stuff there by proven lap times. The final corner. This is baconing pancakes, setting up for what will be another of their hot laps. And it's going to be proven that decides to go even faster. They've proven themselves once. They'll prove themselves again. Stevie Mack still on a hot lap as well, though. Down in P3, the opportunity for them to go faster surely will be evident. We watch Bomber here making their way in towards Vale and Club Corner. Nicely done on the left-hander. The double right will beckon itself. A car in front will be giving off so much dirty air, but look at the bottom right. They've invalidated. They can't go faster either. TV Mac pulling into the pit lane, and the Spaniard as well cannot go faster, so will start from 15th. It will be proven, though, that starts from the front of the order. Medium tyres will be the way to go for most of the field. We'll keep an eye on everybody else, but drivers will just enter in towards their grid positions, get themselves prepped and ready. And of course, it is going to be so much about that pull away down towards turn number 1 at Abbey, through Farm Curve and down into Village, which will be the first of the heavy braking zones.
There we are then. The 5 red lights underway on your screens is potentially lights out, and away we go. There are a few jump starts, though. A couple of drive-through penalties right off the rip. And there's a 3-car pile-up, it looks like, on the start there.
Absolutely. 2 cars going straight off left field from the very race start. But into Village and then through the loop, they will run 2 wide as we head through the loop and out of Aintree Corner. Surely aren't going to try and stay 2 by 2, but it's proven. Holding on to that top stop at the moment is Edward, who tries to make the better of the advantage, running down the Wellington Straight and in towards Brooklands. They'll go through the left hand. You can see what they see. The switch back in effect. That is absolutely
Everybody, we should be heading in momentarily there. And I think hopefully I'll be able to pull up and we can get one more look at potentially the race grid, and we can talk through any last sort of standout sort of moments. Just while we put the finishing touches on for you guys, we want to make sure that everyone's ready. So you two excited? I'm guessing. I want to ask though, how many penalties do you think we'll see this week? We saw 9 last week. I want a hard number, a prediction. Lay it on me. What do you think?
I don't know. We don't have as many drivers this week, but again, getting caught out in the pit entry, I'm probably going to say maybe 4.
Do you know what?
You gonna go any higher?
I'm going to go full grid. I think everyone might get a penalty because the problem is, there is areas of the track. Going into turn 1, if you go wide there, sometimes the safer line is to cut turn 2, which can cause a penalty. So some people may do that, especially at the start of the race. But there is other places around the track. Yes, there's a lot of walls where they're going to crash into, but just after the first straight going on to, I think it's turn 5, there is a runoff there, and people do go over that line a lot. And that's not just esports drivers; it's real life drivers as well. They go over that curb, and they do end up getting penalties. So we could see that as well, and into the final sector as well, into those final couple of corners before heading onto the main straight. People do go wide there. I could see full grid getting at least a 3-second time penalty. In terms of maybe pit lane speed limiter and pit lane speed limit penalties, I think we might get one of those, but I think full grid, I think everyone could get 3 seconds.
Everyone. Now that is a strong prediction, but I believe the game is very, very close to being ready. So I'm going to leave it once again in your capable hands, and I'll see you on the other side.
We will do what we can, but thanks again, Affinity. But yeah, George is another one. I think we're gonna see someone in the bridge.
The bridge, another one. Yeah, absolutely. Someone in the bridge. That definitely can happen, and I think we have seen it before a few times in real life Formula One. So it could be something that we see there. I'm actually just having a look into the chat here, and Hog Devil Dog, of course, is saying, all eyes are going to be on me for the smallest mistake. I am done for. Not up to us. We're not controlling the cameras. Production team might keep a few tabs, but even Bomber Brown is saying that he keeps making mistakes this week. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've got a couple of our lovely camera casters who are going to be keeping a keen eye on as much action as we can. But yeah, the drivers are slowly loading into the lobby as we jump into qualifying here for Singapore. Now, it is a hot track to go to. It is deemed one of the toughest tracks for the F1 drivers that have to deal with the cockpit of the car itself can reach up to exceeding 60 degrees Celsius. and then add that one with about 90% humidity to go with it. This is what makes it so tough here. And they can lose up to 3 kilos of weight just through the course of the Grand Prix alone. Now, if you remember the rule, George, is each track was meant to be, or you can race for only 2 hours, I believe it was, or a race can only last about 2 hours. Now, when they changed the that stadium section in that third sector, it actually reduced the racing time to around about an hour and a half, or it was something crazy like that, just by adding that little bit of a straight.
Yeah, that's it. You know, most Formula One cars, Formula One races are around 90 minutes anyway. That 2-hour gap is to put in for safety car and red flag periods. But yeah, this race we did used to see, I think, for a couple years in a row, due to safety cars, we did see it go from lap counter to a timed race, which, if we get too close to that 2-hour limit and we still have a fair few laps to go, that can happen. Doesn't happen often in the game, however. So I think it's very rare, even in the way that we've got it set up, we will get a timed race over a lap counter. But in real life, it certainly is still something that can happen.
And it is, but as you can see now, the clock has started in the top left. 15 minutes and 50 seconds left in qualifying already, as we do have all but 3 drivers out on the track. As we saw Spinsy just leave the session briefly, so may have a slight connection issue. But Spinsy, one of 2 new drivers for this week, Royal Army Medical Service, who has played Formula 1 before, finished P2 in the Army's Intercorps Esports competition last year. And the other person we have out on track is Stepney Luke, who joined the Army Esports last year, representing the RLC in both Formula 1 and Formula 2. Only had a couple of races, but has managed a couple of race wins and podiums in that time. And he also went on to represent the Army in the F1 Inter-Service. And I believe that was when I was racing as well, if memory serves. But who knows? But the drivers are out on track. First person to cross the start-finish line, I believe, was Adam Thompson, who will be setting their lap as Runes now finished P5 in Spa, not Spain, and it begins at their lap looking for a little bit of redemption. But with that battle that's going on at the moment between Adam Thompson and Runes, because obviously we're down 1 driver today. It can all be down to play for and big points up for grabs. So, on board then with BR8, George. Take us through. Nope, we're on board with George. Nope. Take us through that.
But look at the George then. He's on the run. This looks to be turn 5. This is where I said we could see some incidents. You see that line there. George half goes over it, but I think his lap is still valid there. He's still pushing on. This is quite tight here. So turn 7. This is now turn 8. Oh, he has a slide out of turn 8. And then we'll drop straight down. Adam Thompson, 1:29.6 is the fastest line. This used to be the Singapore Sling. George Russell knows that barrier very well. And then we head on to the bridge. And George hits the barrier. It's the barrier there. This is what we're saying. That curb is raised very, very high. Going into that corner, he hit the curb, he hit the barrier. It doesn't look like we've got any damage to the front wing, though, but it's going to hinder his time. But luckily, we've still got 13 and a half minutes to go. Now, on the back straight here, DRS is open. This is where we'd normally turn right, enter the stadium where it's on your right here, and come out around about where George is now, and into this last sector of corners. Quick slick to the right and the left. Want to get close to the wall as possible. F1 drivers get a little bit closer than what George did. I think he's just staying risky. He keeps it in 5th and then 6th, keeping it kind of flat around the final corner. 1:31.8 for George there. But I think if he, maybe with another lap a little bit later on, if he avoids the wall, he could go even faster.
I believe he can. You just saw then the snap oversteer moment that he got into turn, going into turn 9, or sorry, coming out of turn 9. And again, coming through that Singapore Sling. I mean, it's technically not called that anymore, but we still know what it is because the drivers hated it so much. And it did keep sending the cars absolutely flying and causing so much damage, which is why they decided to get rid of it. But I mentioned earlier about the bridge coming around turn 11 into turn 12, where we're seeing Og Devil Dog now. It is difficult to get the traction down some drivers may be a bit bold and take the inside curb to the bridge. You want to try and get as close to that wall as you can in order to maximize the speed and the ability to get your foot down a lot quicker when your car's pointing in a straight line. So, you know, it's difficult. If you get it wrong, you're going to be bouncing into the wall. You unsettle the car, and that is not what you want to happen, especially around that section. So keep an eye out for that one in the race, as Runes is now has set his lap time and is currently in the net P1 position, 129.0 for Runes coming into the pit lane now. We'll get a fresh set of boots on and go back out again. Stevie Mac on an outlap going round turn 13. This is now the third DRS zone on the track. So opening up that drag reduction system, giving you an extra 10 to 12 kilometers an hour more speed down at the straight, or 8 miles an hour for those of us who work in miles an hour. Yeah, normal people. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So around the final couple of corners now, Stevie Mac will start up. You'll start seeing that battery drain on that car. Keeps it within track limits just about. That is another one you need to watch out for. Come around turn 19. We have seen it go horribly wrong. We saw it happen to Lance Stroll, but 2 years ago, hit the curb, bottomed out the car, and ended up in the barrier. It was a bit of a nasty shunt, to say the least. But Stevie Mac, what can he do? He is still battling for points position and in that mid-pack battle that we mentioned earlier with Bomber Brown, George BL, and BR8. But unfortunately, is suffering from internet service providing issues, I believe was mentioned earlier. Is he going to actually be able to set the lap and get in the lobby and score then crucial points for this Grand Prix as it comes now? Turn 9 down towards turn 10, the Singapore Sling. George, what's he going to do?
Well, let's have a look into... Oh, he's hit the wall! He hit the wall! He hit the wall! On the entrance to turn 10 and 11, and then we come over the bridge. I think he's struggling to get a little bit of traction down on the exit there, but that's a shame. He's hit the wall. He's going to lose time there. Hopefully he's got no damage by the looks of it on the offboard. He hasn't. DRS straight now out of here. Keeps it nice and tight to the wall, and then onto the back straight. DRS wide open. Wants to be able to use every last bit of that now and needs to have a very clean final part of this sector. Hits the curbs nicely. Well, how close to the wall will we get there? It still could get closer for that speed boost. Up to 6th and just keeps it almost flat, using that overtake mode to get across the line. And we've changed driver before the end there. So I'm not too sure where they came there, to be honest with you, because I just lost it. But we do have, before we go anywhere else with this Jap, we have got someone else who has joined late. Carhill with the Royal Armoured Corps for the British Army. He's joined in a little bit late, and we can see him on track now. P6 at 131.2.
Yeah, but we all like it when there's more drivers on track. It usually means more chaos, as we may see during the start of the Grand Prix itself. But 9 minutes left here in qualifying. The track is slowly going darker, and the track is also getting faster. As the more drivers come on track, the more rubber that gets placed down. So in the last 3 minutes or so, 2.5 to 3 minutes, we could see a mad dash of cars leaving the pit lane to set a lap as Kyle just gets a huge bit of understeer going round that hairpin turn 13. These corners come up on you nice and quick around, especially that sector 2 that turns 10, 11, 12 and 13. It's difficult to try and get the balance down and get the power down, get the traction that you need, as Luke Stepney now goes into P2, setting the exact same time as BR8, a 129.064. It is rare that we see this happen, especially when they've gone to the 3 decimal points timing system. But because BR8 set his time first, it means that he goes ahead of Stepney Luke. But just behind them, Runes is only about a 100th of a second, should say, behind us now. Spinsy, one of the newer drivers for this session, is out on a lap. Adam Thompson now goes quicker, only just in with the 128.9. So what can Spinsy do? Come around the last couple of corners into the final corner, keeps it within the track limits, and goes up 130.3 And one thing I have noticed, George, is other George has only just left the pit lane, so might be a little bit out of sync here. But Phoenix, last week's race winner, is on a lap at the moment, as so is Bomber Brown. So these two could be ones to watch in that mid pack.
Yeah, absolutely, George. You say he might be out of sync. A lot of drivers now, we can see they're on flying laps. However, a few more are going to start coming back into the pit lane now, though. So it could open up a nice opportunity for George to get some clear track. He hasn't got it at the moment with a car right ahead of him. I think that is Bomber ahead of him. I'm not 100% sure. But he will get a little bit of a toe. See that car going a bit wide there. But George able to keep it clean. And then in there, as we see the other car ahead goes deep into the runoff. Has to reverse out. You can see in the background of the picture there. Probably just trying to keep out of the way of George Biel as he heads into what was the Singapore Sling, where we could still see some accidents there as well. George this time, though, doesn't hit the barrier going into the onto the bridge. So should be, in theory, a quicker lap for him.
Yeah, it should, and it was Bomber Brown who was ahead of George. So George would have got a lovely toe going all the way from turn 5 down to turn 7. And that's going to be critical around here, getting that toe. Phoenix, though, goes fastest, 128.672, so mimicking the performance from last week. But yeah, it looks like George did get a nice little bit of toe, but may have been compromised a little bit from that dirty air going into 7 and 8, which is why Bomber because he went wide, you just saw him off the exit curb and invalidated his lap. And George does improve, but not by much. So possibly that little bit of dirty air from turn 7 and 8 from Bomber trying to get out of the way. That's maybe what caused it. You see now it looks like he's on a double push lap, but has he got enough fuel in that car for qualifying, or is that a double push, George? I think that might be. I'm not seeing the light. I'm not seeing the light on the back.
No, it's going to be a double push because, like we said, Bomber was on a flying lap when he went into that runoff. So this is a double push. His battery is practically full. So Bomber is going to risk it with a double push. With the time that we've got left on the clock at the minute, it probably will be his only maybe his final push lap. By the time he gets back into the pit lane and changes tyres, if he has any left, it may be tight to get one more run out of it at the end.
Yeah, he's going to be tight. So now Bomber running completely out of sync. So George will be able to come back in and get out. Stevie Mac, I believe, is now is on their out lap about to start. But we have Chewy, Carhill, Devil Dog, and Bomber out on track at the moment doing their laps. Adam Thompson, BR8 just leaving the pits as well. Phoenix will be on their in lap, I'm sure. And as it just comes up, they are now in the pit lane. So Carhill now in the pits, 4.5 minutes left in qualifying here in Singapore around the Marina Bay Street Circuit, where we've seen Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton score the equal amount of pole positions here. However, top one to Sebastian Vettel getting one more win than Lewis Hamilton. And one thing that I was surprised to realize, George, is Max Verstappen has yet to win the Singapore Grand Prix.
That's it. I think Max has had quite a fair few opportunities. However, the Red Bull doesn't seem to go well around Singapore.
It does not,
I think
no.
there was one race I remember where it was actually their dominant season with Max, and the car was nowhere. It was nowhere to be seen that weekend. So I believe it was Carlos Sainz who got the win that year. But yeah, Red Bull doesn't often go around well along here. Could it be how humid and hot the track is and the engine just can't keep up, or could it just be the aero package? It could even be a mix of both. But that could be very, very interesting. But you take this week. Last week I took stats from you. This week you're taking stats from me. So I think it's fair now.
Yeah, but say anything can happen here. A lot, as this track has had many historic facts and figures happen to it since it came on the calendar in 2008. But we won't go on to them just yet because there's only less than 3 minutes in qualifying remaining as Chewy is on their push lap. This will be their final push lap because they won't have enough time to get round and go out again as we start seeing Adam Thompson, Runes leaving the pits. BR8, I believe, is on the lap. Runes has just crossed the start-finish line, and this will be the last chance. But get ready to see all the outlaps coming in now. About 2.5 minutes to go. Who's going to be the last one out of the pits? That's what we want to see as BR8 gets traffic in front of him, and that's not what you want in qualifying. This could be impeding unless the car in front is also on a lap. That dirty air, you can see that back end of that car wibbling around, wobbling, wibbly wobbly, jellyfish. I'm Welsh, so I can get away with saying that. So around they go, but yeah, it looks like I can't quite tell who is out in front. I think it might be Runes out in front, but BR8 having to abort that lap from that bit of traffic. Could that go to the stewards for impeding? I don't know. It depends if they are both on a lap at the same time, and unfortunately it's just the luck of the draw. But has BR8, he hasn't got enough battery to go for another push. Is that qualifying over for him? No, he is going for a double push. He doesn't have the battery, keeps it within the track limit, so it is going and committing to a final lap of the Grand Prix. Tires are going to be overheated. The grip has probably slightly worn off. All cars now are on the track. You see there, 1 minute 28 to go in qualifying. What is going to happen towards the end of this as Adam Thompson now crosses the line to start their final lap?
Well, that's it. I couldn't quite say it. It wasn't Rooms. The only reason why I know it wasn't Rooms that was holding him up is because I'm very impressed with Rooms. He's got a very good colour scheme on his car because it is mine.
BR8 just went wide. Sorry, George. I think
BR8 did go wide. Yeah, BR8 did go wide a little bit there, just on the exit of the corner, and then he's cut the corner a little bit instead. He's pushing the car really hard now, just for the pure fact that his qualifying got ruined by that car that was in front of him. So he's pushing really, really hard now to try and just get a little bit more out of the car, but with less battery, it's not going to be easy. Adam Thompson, we're looking at now with a livery that I can only say is Brawn GP. Hits that curb, goes over the curb quite a bit, just on entry to the bridge and now into the hairpin. And
huge lock up on the front left.
That's a massive lock up. He had to turn even more just to try and get around the corner. That's really going to hinder him, not just in terms of the time, but in terms of actual grip on the tyre. If it's flat spotted the tyre, it's going to make the wheel vibrate quite ferociously. Down the back straight then. Is he going to be able to pip that 128.6 from Phoenix, who certainly is showing to be a formidable force this season? Round the final corner then, has to try and keep it within the track limits. He does keep it within, only just crossed the line. It's not enough for 128.73.
It was close up there, only a 10th in it, as Phoenix now is on another push. But I think Phoenix now knows that he has done enough, unless BR8 could do something magical, but I don't think so with that little bit of back marker traffic. Now, Phoenix, what can he do is what we're looking for now. Is he going to come into the pits, save them sets of tyres for the Grand Prix, because he can use the least worn set of soft tyres in the race if he so wishes. Doesn't look like it. I think he is pushing. He is derating the battery down less than 10% to go. He is deploying all of that down the 4th DRS zone. Into 2 corners to go, does choose to stay out, so that must mean that he is going a little bit quicker. 1 more corner to go, keeps it within, and it goes almost a second quicker in that lap. I believe that was a second. 9/10 of a second quicker.
Not even 9/10.
28.6 he got last time.
Yeah, he's got a gap now of nearly a second by. And that is an incredible lap, especially with the D-rate. We're looking at BR8 then, round the final corner. What can BR8 do? Can BR8 mix it up a little bit on the grid? He slides around. I think he thought he wasn't going to get a better lap then. Hog Devil's going to be the last driver across the line. We look on board with him now. I think it was Hog Devil Dog that may have been holding up. Yeah, I think he was holding up BR8 on that initial lap. He now dives into the pit lane. So that's going to be interesting. I'm just looking here. Bomber did turn around, and he did turn around here and say he's properly struggling around this track, is Bomber. So not to expect great things. But we said this before, Singapore is a crazy track. Anything can happen. Could Bomber capitalise on incidents within the race?
It is, and seen in the chat as well. Loving a bit of quali drama. You think this is drama? I believe you may want to stick around till just the start of the Grand Prix. Actually, no, throughout the whole Grand Prix, because it is going to be chaos. We're predicting safety cars. We're predicting speeding in the pit lanes. It could be anything, but Phoenix, with a 1 second difference in that last run, takes Visual P1 with Adam Thompson line up in P2.
I mean, plenty of excitement to get us off to begin with there, isn't there? And this is just the start. This is just the qualifiers. Now, I've got to ask, anybody that maybe exceeded expectations here? Because we talked a lot about, we talked Bomber saying that he struggled a little bit, Hog as well. Is there anybody that you think has really kind of gone above and beyond the call here already?
I would probably say BR8 is up there. So we've seen him before. BR8, Adam Thompson. You look back at Silverstone, you look back at Spa, and now you look at Singapore. BR8 got unfortunate in Spa. He was battling hard, and then I think there was a little bit of contact up in Le Com at the chicane, and sent him off sideways. But the battle was there. Now the pace that we're seeing today, I think he's a one to watch.
I'm going to say Luke Stepney. Stepney Luke. I don't think we've seen Stepney Luke at all this season. And he's put it on the second row of the grid. Incredible. I think he could give it to Adam Thompson with Phoenix there as well. Phoenix, though, the gap is 0.998 of a second. So pretty much a second he's out-qualified Adam Thompson there. So Phoenix, if he keeps it clean and doesn't have too many battles or too many instances with the ball, Phoenix could run away with it. But I think after last week, we are expecting it a little bit. I think, though, George Biel, we said he could go quicker. He's currently sat P7. Last week, we were watching him and we could see him get quicker. And we said that after the race last week. Only P7 this week. I think, again, if he can capitalize on any instance, he could be within the top 3 very, very easily.
And don't forget, George did get impeded as well.
He did get impeded, yeah.
I think it's quite sad, though, because we talked a lot about this Bomber Brown, George BL, BR8 kind of trio, didn't we? Not only the three-way battle within the micro of last race, but also the sort of macro and the points. They're 7th, 8th, and 9th right now. And it feels like kind of been dispersed a little bit more here. However, what we are going to do is we're going to head to a short little bit of a break, because I think we all need to take a moment to breathe, and breathe we will, because we are about to be flat out. The race will be starting soon. Make sure not to go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. If this qualifier has shown us anything, it's sure to be absolute fire. We'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everybody. A super quick break there, but we are back and almost ready to go now. A couple of things we should have a look at before we go into this. Now, number one, the thing that you said that you wanted to talk about first, the impeding. Talk me through it. Explain it maybe for the people that are watching that maybe don't quite understand what's been going on there. Talk us through what this means.
So essentially, what we saw going in through qualifying, especially coming into those last runs, George BL was impeded by what we think was Hog Devil Dog. Now, in Formula One, when you're in qualifying, if you are not on a hot lap, the car behind has priority on track. If you are caught impeding, in a normal Formula One sense, it's a grid penalty for the race. Obviously, with how we have it set up, it's a little bit different. We can't put those grid penalties in after. So it will most likely be a time penalty if reported to the stewards, or if the stewards decide they do want to pull them up on that. Because essentially it's what we saw. George BL had to abort his lap at the end there for the pure fact he's lost so much time behind the car in front where they're not moving out the way under those blue flags. Essentially, you don't see the blue flags in the game. It hasn't been implemented in qualifying compared to in real life, but it is all about awareness. Drivers have to be aware if they're on an outlap and there's a car behind on a push, you need to move. If you don't move, you're going to ruin their lap, and actually it could hinder your race in the long run.
Now, Bomber, I believe, is the name that we really want to talk about here. And it's a name that we've spoken about a little bit. I know that you've got some choice words here as well, Poundland. So talk us through the Bomber situation.
So with Bomber, again, he was on a push lap. And we saw, I think it was, again, George BL was right behind him, both on push lap. So George did get a little bit of a tow heading in to turn 5. But it looked to me, because we weren't on board with Bomber at the time, he did lock up his brakes and went into that runoff area and had to quickly reverse back onto the track. And it's the nature of the track as well. Luckily, we do have those runoff areas in those tight little hairpins where we are able to have that kind of runoff area. But again, it did ruin his lap and he is starting near the back, but hopefully he can come back through.
There we are. Thanks again, Affinity. But we are now in the formation lap here in the Marina Bay. There you go. I nearly got confused by saying Yas Marina. But Marina Bay, the formation lap, Phoenix leads the pack away. Looks like medium tyres for him up at the front. I would imagine at least the top 10 will be doing the same. You can see there, medium to hard boxing at lap 14 to 16. Could we see another undercut situation? But the undercut here is known to be quite powerful. And the undercut means that you come into the pits a lap or two before the car in front of you if you're within, say, about 4 tenths. Usually that means you can push a lot more on your out lap, so as soon as you leave the pits, and you will end up being in front of them. However, your tyres will be a little bit older, but they will be up to temperature, which is critical in Formula One cars. Well, going around turn 10 now into the Singapore. Try again. Help me out, George.
into the Singapore slinger over the bridge.
There we go.
We go in the formation lap. I think we're both a bit tongue-tied after qualifying, mate. Don't you worry.
Just a bit,
yeah, you can see you can see all the cars here just weaving, getting the temperature into those tyres. We can see there, I think that was Phoenix on the hard compound. I see some medium compound being used as well. So it's a very interesting strategy for a lot of these cars because the medium tyre is probably the better starting tyre in the sense that they'll be able to get off the line because there's more grip. But the hard compound tyre is obviously there to have that alternate pit stop and go a little bit longer into this race.
That is absolutely correct. But now coming down the start finish straight, Phoenix lines up into his pit box. Which way is he going to be pointing? Is he going to see Adam Thompson as a threat? He's pointing the car directly straight. He's not looking to defend, but we know Phoenix has a good start. George BL, Stevie Mack both also have good starts, so watch them watch them at the back. And Bomber as well, he has a tendency to have a good start as Carhill and Hog Devil just a little bit out of position. But here we go then. It's time for the Singapore Grand Prix. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. They pause for the effect. And it's lights out and away they go here in Singapore. Phoenix gets a good start. Looks like he bogged down in the second sector. Adam Thompson just tucked in behind. George Bale looking to go up the inside. Adam goes a little bit wide in towards turn 1. George looking again up the inside of turn 3. That looks a little bit of contact as well, as Stevie Mack is just losing out of position there from Chewy. Phoenix gets away cleanly. There are close action all the way down at the back of the pack. No DRS available for this lap. You can see now there George chasing down Runes and BR8. Chewy tucks in behind, move side by side though with Runes and BR8. They're still changing places through the first 90 degree. And that looks like a bit of contact at the back. That is a 3-into-1. BR8, Chewy, Runes and Stevie Mack looked like it all got involved into that one. Phoenix escapes down the road, almost clearing that DRS. The battle's still going on behind Chewy, hunting down George. So George losing a lot of time during that little contact as they're going through the 90-degree corners of turn 7, 8 and 9. But doesn't matter at this point. Phoenix ahead. George under pressure from Chewy. Could we see a move down now into... Lost track of the corners down to turn 16. Not quite close enough for this time round, but George elected to harvest early. Is Chewy going to have a little bit of a battery deployment issue later on down the Grand Prix? As through now they come up to turn 16. Still no DRS until Phoenix has crossed the line, and you need to be within 1 second of the car in front. So George under a lot of pressure. Stepney Luke has extended that gap from 2 seconds to George, now up to 3. So is this going to be a bit of a tall order to catch up with that top 3? Or has George suffered damage from possible contact at the start of the Grand Prix? But the DRS trains are now forming as we see them open them up for the first time as they exit turn 5. And Stepney Luke is looking to take on Adam Thompson with the DRS.
Breathe, Jack, breathe. This is interesting, isn't it? Stepney Luke's going to have a little go on the run to turn number 7. It's side by side. I think there was a little flick with a little bit of a traction loss there and just sliding the car around with Stepney Luke into P2. It's an excellent move going round turn 8 there and starting to eke out a little bit of a gap. But yeah, I think George Biel, there could be some damage to that car from the start. We could just see where there was just that little bit of contact going into turn number 3 and maybe just losing out. So that could be anything. Also, Hog Devil Dog, the first person. Oh, there's Adam Thompson having a massive slide out of turn 13, putting the front one a little bit, yeah, well held to keep it out of the barrier. But that, I must admit, that if I was in the car there, I probably would have screamed a little bit and hoped I didn't hit the wall.
And who was it that said that in Monaco? Was it Zhou Guanyu? Who said that he may need new pants after that one as he came barreling into the Duval chicane. Yes. But plenty of action still going on track. One thing Adam Thompson needs to look out for is that he may have overheated the rear tyres, so he's going to have to take it easy for at least a few corners, bring the temps down. Otherwise, if it's move at the front, sorry, there's contact over the front. Runes and Chewy, a little bit of argy-bargy going on, but this is now
more contact.
BR8 back into the fight. Contact with a little bit of the front wing. BR8 onto the back of Chewy in towards turn 5. You can see how late BR can get onto them brakes. And I'm not quite sure what happened. It looked like a late move up on the inside between Chewy and Runes. I believe that was. Runes gets away with it up to George, but here comes a lunge from Stevie Mack on the inside of turn 7.
Has damage.
That looked clean for that. That looked like a clean overtake. BR8, you saying has damage?
Yeah, BR8's got front wing end plate damage. And this is the problem with these cars, and that end plate damage, sometimes you can get away with it in this game, sometimes you really cannot. And that around here, that is going to be detrimental because of how many corners you are. You need that downforce to be able to get around the corners. That little bit of downforce loss, it's going to really impact BR8 around here. Gap's starting to really kind of widen now between BR8 and Stevie Mack. It's still within a second. DRS is now active, but he may have to change that in the pit stop. I tell you what, Jack, there's been a lot of bang-a-ranga around here this evening.
That absolutely has. That was terrible, I may say. But Bomber has made the move up on Spinsy now. So Bomber back up into P9 was part of, I believe, part of that collection, 3-car collection, a few laps back. But still pushing now. Runes on George BL takes a shallower line, so scrubs off quite a bit of speed. But will have the benefit of the DRS. as I'm seeing in the other chat that our producer is very proud of you for saying that, which is terrible. Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. But Spinsy is looking to try and catch on to Cahill, but Hog Devil, I didn't see what that penalty was for. I believe it may have been track limits because I haven't seen Hog Devil come into the pits. But Runes has now gone past George. No, they haven't. They are side by side. Little bit of a squeeze there from George. Now the roles are reversed on the inside. A little bit of side contact. The wheels are locking into each other. I think one of these, they need to be careful going around these
another car as well.
sections. And Chewy, you can just see now on the left-hand side of Runes, looks to go this side. That's a contact, and that is Chewy.
That's a good Chewy off.
That is Chewy the wrong way. Caution in that second sector is facing the wrong way. Couple of cars drive-through penalty for Chewy for causing a collision, a severe collision. I believe that was it just popped up on the top of the screen. So that is Chewy's race pretty much ruined from this point, and having to serve that drive-through penalty means that he cannot stop for a fresh set of tyres. He has to just go in to the pit lane and drive all the way through, and then if he wants to pit, he'll have to come back in again, and that is huge because a pit stop time loss around here is around about 29 seconds. So that could be Chewy's race over. Hog Devil, on the other hand, could go up a position, but Runes is not giving up on George. George trying to break the toe there up at the front, and the powerful DRS on Runes using a bit more of the battery deployment. Are we going to see a repeat of last time? George snap oversteer, gets a little bit squirrely up at the front. George, what's going on?
What is going on? This is absolutely crazy. We said we wanted this from the start. It's exactly what we're getting. We're loving this tonight. It's just crazy. It was with Spinsy. That's why we've got a drive-through penalty for Chewy there. But you can see we've got Runes now really sitting on the back of George Biel. Again, George Biel could have some damage that we cannot see. So this really could become a really big battle until we get to the pit stops. That's when we might see it neutralize a little bit more if we see damage being fixed. But then again, there could be more damage to the car that we cannot see. As we look at George, we have a big slide. Really, really big slide as we come onto the bridge and into the hairpin. You see there, George there with the rain light flashing. Remember, F1 cars don't have brake lights. That's saying the battery's derating. He's harvesting the energy to be able to try and use it to get away from Runes as much as possible. We're coming into another DRS zone now. Runes only 0.2 of a second. He's in with DRS width. Can he do it into the last couple of corners as we come off the battle? Because there's Stevie Mac on BR8. I said about the wing damage. This is what can come to it, and George was able to stay ahead of Runes there. We go back on with Stevie Mac as they're battling around the corners here, around the final corner. DRS going to be open for BR8, but I think that wing damage is just letting him get away a little bit. You see there, yeah, BR8 having a look. It was a little bit too far back to go for a move there, I think.
Yeah, action all around here, and we are only on lap 6 of 31. There is still a long way to go in the Grand Prix. Chewy now into the pits, probably looking to serve that penalty. So Spinsy goes up. BR8 still chasing down Stevie Mac. Looking up at the front, Runes and George are still going at it. Wheel to wheel through turn 7 they go. The switchback from Runes still side by side. George gets the inside line into turn 8. They are still side by side, pushing over. The outside becomes inside. They are still wheel locking all the way around here. Aggressive driving from the both of them. George had no choice but to back out and is looking to catch up. You can see now Runes is harvesting his battery, and George is also going to have to do the same. And he's hit the wall. George hit the barrier into the bridge. There's nowhere where he can go at the moment. He can't turn around. But he did. He didn't do an Austin Powers. I thought he was going to do that one, but it didn't happen. But George just clipping the entry of the bridge. We saw him do it in qualifying, and just like that, you lose the grip on the rear end, and the car spins around. And also, all that fighting must have overheated the tyres, trying to harvest that battery, deploying that energy to stay away from Runes. Unfortunate for George, and round he went, but did well to do a recovery. And surprisingly, still no safety car.
Still no safety car. Unbelievable. I'm sat here watching this and I'm throwing myself into my chair when I'm watching these battles because I just don't know what's going to happen. It is electrifying. We've got a replay then on the side. So you see that George just losing the traction coming around the corner, and there is contact there. I think that was BR8 he had a little bit of contact with and had to... BR8 didn't seem to have too much damage. George now in the pits, though, possibly for a new front wing, I think.
I believe it is. It's a front right end plate damage. I believe it was. So boxing early may have to, well, George may now have to commit to a 2-stop strategy because the hard tyres to get from here to the end of the Grand Prix will be a bit of a tall order. And I think right now he'll be saying, I need a safety car, which will close the pack back up, maybe force the early stops, get people out of strategy and commit to that 2-stop. But it's all yet to play for, and you can just see how easy it is now. Being in these DRS trains, the car's struggling. As BR8, you can just see that left end plate damage on that car. And the problem is being in this train is, and around Singapore, it is so hot. The tyres are overheating. You can't cool them down. You're not getting the downforce, so the car's sliding a bit more. And there's 2 conditions where you don't want to be driving these cars. When you've got cold tyres and when you've got overheating tyres, because it is like driving on ice. But BR8 not giving up, chasing down Stevie Mac, just dips out of that DRS under the braking point. Stevie Mac trying to chase down Runes, who may have damage. We don't know, because there was a lot of side-by-side contact. We did have a yellow flag for a moment. A little bit side by side with George. Is there any side pod damage? Because you can get that, or floor damage, because you can get that from in here. Looks like a bit of a cut there in turn 1 for Stevie Mac. May have got away with it from the race director. But this is your battle at the moment. But if you look at the front, George, Luke Stepney, or Stepney Luke, isn't actually dropping that far off from Phoenix. That gap has pretty much stayed around that 2.9.
Hold on a minute, Jab. We've got to move on here. Oh, not quite. Not quite. I thought there was going to be then. Yeah, Stepney Luke, really, he's not on the tail as we saw Phoenix and... oh, who was it? I can't remember that. Phoenix and... Proven. From last week. However, Proven, that's it. You know, they were side by side for the whole of the race last week, so we still got Phoenix is running away, but if... He has made a considerable gap on Adam Thompson as well. So I said it before, Stepney Luke could be one to watch here. Maybe if we get into the pit stops, or if Phoenix has a collision that we've seen a lot tonight of, that time could go down. But Runes just able to keep Stevie Mac at bay, but Runes is now having to harvest energy. Could we see an overtake into turn 1, or even here into the last couple of corners? I think we're going to it. Look, he's going in for it. Stevie Mac goes for it. I think he's just pushed Runes wide. He's pushed Runes wide. Is he going to give the position back for that?
I think he may have to. He did go. Runes did have to cut that chicane or that final corner, but all that he needs to do is give it him back in a sensible place. Let him do the overtake here.
They're doing it here.
Into turn 1. Gives the position back. Now it's fair game from this point. And what has also happened is that the DRS detection point, Stevie Mac will get the DRS, but them swapping places. BR8 is still in this fight as Hog Devil is into the pits. But keep an eye down the back of the pack as well. George has already gained 1 second on Carl Hill. So he could look to get that final point at the moment. Still waiting to see if there's a safety car there as Carl Hill goes past Chewy. So has Chewy had a bit of a mistake? I'm not too sure, but this battle on board, it is another 3-way fight. Not for P3, it is P4. A little bit of the kiss into the diffuser, but you see how much Runes has had to push that car throughout the course of the Grand Prix. Battling with George, he is starting to slide around. Pit stops aren't expected for at least another 4 laps yet, or 4 to 5 laps. So are the tyres now what we call approaching the cliff, where there is no more grip left on that tyre and it is overheating? DRS, Stevie Mac getting a great exit away from BR8 out of turn 13, down the DRS straight, into the dirt, into the corner, watching that front slide and understeer as George now gets past Chewy up into P10. And this battle, I think, is going to go on and pretty much going to be down to the wire to the pit stops.
Yeah, it's a yellow flag in sector 2 then. Not too sure what it was for, but it is going to go all the way to the pit stops. We may even see some drivers trying to do undercuts. Adam Thompson now comes in from P3, so he'll drop a few positions from this battle, but hopefully the tyres may last him. So Adam Thompson deciding, maybe if I go hard, we can go for... Oh, there's penalties galore there.
Stevie Mac and BRA both cut the entry to turn 1 just by a millimeter and both received a 3-second time penalty for that one. And I think that was Stevie Mac just hitting the outside of the wall there. So it's still exciting. So Runes is probably having a little bit of a sigh of relief, but we don't know how many warnings that Runes has. Here's one place where you can get a track limit violation. You can get one down to the Singapore Sling and at the exit of turn 14. And more importantly, the final 2 corners and turn 1, apparently. So penalties are still up for grabs. Now we just need another 9 drivers to get penalties, and your prediction is correct, George.
Well, I mean, Hog Devil Dog did have a penalty, but he's now served it in his pit stop. Chewy still with a penalty, so whether that is still the drive-through, which I believe you had to serve within 3 laps, so maybe it was a 10-second there, Jack, that we saw for the serious collision, because Chewy still has that penalty mark next to his name. We look at Runes and Stevie Mac then. Stevie Mac really wanting to try and get past Runes here. I think there's a little bit of front wing damage, however, for Stevie Mac, so could that be maybe holding him back a little bit? Here is a possibility. Just having a look at his battery as well. He's having to bring the battery back up as well. Caution in sector 2 goes away quickly, coming around the final sector then, as we look on to George Biel and Carl Hill 1992 going into the hairpin and then going on the run. His Hog Devil Dog has retired. Is this going to be a safety car? What? This is what we could be expecting. The yellow flags are out here, but I don't see what has happened. I think he might have crashed into the wall on the side. We're staying green. We're not going to a safety car, which just shocks me for a yellow for someone crashing out there.
Oh, well, I mean, if it was a crash, it's George goes for the lunge.
It's a
down
lunge.
The inside turn. That's turn number 16, 17 for you. Gets ahead of Carl Hill and using the fresh tyres that he has, the hard compound tyres. So he's completing his mandatory pit stop that he needs for his alternate compound as per the rules, and just has to find a way to eke out that gap from Carl Hill and get as much time back before the rest of the drivers start to think about coming in for their pit stops, because you still have up front Runes, Stevie Mac and BR8 who are battling now for that P3 position. BR8 though must have had a bit of a mistake, was on the gearbox and has just dropped 2 seconds by the looks of it. So was that a mistake from BR8?
It may well have been. Mistakes are common around here. Like we said, just that little bit of going wide. It could have just been maybe he's decided that he wants to harvest the battery for a little bit, so he's going to back off, get out of the dirty areas. He is going to have a little look into this little chicane here. Decides, nope, I'm not going to do it here. Probably not the best idea. But yeah, that could have been it. Or he could have just been trying to harvest the energy and to get out the dirty air, cool the engine, cool the tyres down, and then go for it in a couple laps' time. We can see their time performance has just come up as well. 38 and 50% for Stevie Mac on the rears, 45 and 56% for BR8. And I think if we go back to Silverstone, the puncture rate's 80%. We probably won't see it this phase of the race, but going into the second phase, especially with drivers who have already pitted, puncture territory could be there.
It is, and I can't remember, did Stevie Mac start on the hard compound tyres? Because if not, looking at his front left, it's only about 13%. Was that a mistake from Runes?
A little bit.
It looked like going into turn 6, just the kink down the first DRS. It looked like a bit of a mistake, but I think Runes is running out of battery.
He is running out of battery. You can see the red light flashing on the back of the car for Runes. It was flashing there for Stevie Mac, but Stevie Mac's at probably, just over 50, maybe even 60% full on his battery, where Runes is constantly flashing, so he's constantly derating the car. It's going to open the door for Stevie Mac. You see he's getting a hell of a lot closer now with the DRS of maybe using that battery. Yes, he's using his overtake. You can see that in the bottom, and he's using it wisely, little bit by little bit, because he knows there's another straight coming. Goes for a lunge. It's almost contact.
That was close.
From Stevie Mac and Runes there. But it's going to be interesting. We now go on to Adam Thompson and Bomber. Then Bomber trying, it is for position, but Adam Thompson able to get it into the, just into the corner there. Bomber with a really good fight though, trying to keep him off by the looks of it there.
Yeah, but there's nothing stopping Bomber from coming back on to Adam Thompson. Don't forget that.
Stepney looks in.
Stepney's in the pit, so he's pulling the undercut at the moment on Phoenix, just trying to close that gap up. We saw it in Spa. We saw Proven do this before. So he came in 1 lap or 2 laps before Phoenix did, came out just ahead with warmer tyres, and opened that gap, but then the deficit towards the end of the Grand Prix took effect. So what can we see at the moment? Are we going to see Phoenix react to this? They have boxed 1 lap earlier than predicted, but presumably the hard tyres can go to the end of the Grand Prix from roughly this point on at the moment. Gaps are starting to form up. Pit stops are slowly starting to form in, but Stevie Mack is not giving up on track position against Runes, who so far has no penalty. The tyres gets a little bit of free air, so it doesn't really have to worry too much on the cooling of the car, because as the car overheats as well, you start losing performance and Stevie Mack goes a little bit wide. And I can't remember earlier on, George, it was Runes and Stevie Mack, and the gap closed up. That's because Runes he went a little bit too deep into that hairpin of turn 13, which is why we saw Stevie Mack close up on him a few laps earlier. But all the penalties look like they are slowly getting cleared.
Yeah, slowly. Phoenix is now in, so we are probably going to see a change in leader very, very shortly as Runes and Stevie Mack now come across the line. And Runes, I think, will take the lead. Yes, and all. BR8 very slowly into the pit lane. I wonder what's happened there. As the pit window is now open, that 14 to 16 to get onto the medium tyre for that one-stop strategy. So drivers now are going to start thinking about pitting as we go back to Stevie Mack and Runes. Then the battle for what is essentially the lead. However, we've got to remember these guys have not pitted yet. So it could be interesting. As you see here, Stevie Mack closing in on Runes, because Runes still is derating that battery a lot. Has he kept... The question here is, has he left overtake on?
I think he's just harvesting through the low-speed corners. But I remember saying earlier about the undercut with Stepney Luke and Phoenix. Look at that gap now. So he tried it with the undercut, managed to get within 5-6 tenths of a second to Phoenix, but just wasn't quite enough there to close that gap and get the overtake, so they battle on track. So the only hope that he'll have now, because we know Phoenix is quick, we saw it last week, is Phoenix now going to be held up by Stevie Mack and Runes, because these are now fighting for position here in this Grand Prix as we hit lap 14 of 31. The battle is not over. Stepney Luke can still play an important factor, but Phoenix and Stevie Mack, they're both serving army. Are they going to go for glory, or are they going to play the team game?
I think I'd be playing the team game. Runes decides now's the time to pit, so Stevie Mack will take the race lead. Phoenix a second behind. We know how quick Phoenix is. At this point, it's Stepney Luke goes with the fastest lap of the race of 32.7. So he's really wanting to give it to Phoenix now. This could be the battle to the end. You see Stevie Mack going a little bit wide out of turn 3 by the looks of it, but still able just to carry on. He's still going to have to pit, remember. And there is a penalty on there, but obviously that'll be served after the race, because it is one of those. If you look at Phoenix now, he's going to have a run. I think it's the team game there between Phoenix and Stevie Mack. They're going to try. Nope. I thought Stevie Mack was going to try and hold off Stepney Luke to try and help Phoenix there, but he lets both the cars through. So I'm going to predict Stevie Mack is going to try and pit this lap.
Yeah, Stevie knows that his fight is not with Phoenix. His fight is with BR8 and Runes. Sorry, it is just Runes. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Stevie Mack's fight is with Runes. So that's the one that he's looking for. Runes has already pulled the trigger on the pit stop, but don't forget, it was medium tyres to hard tyres. Now, Stevie has got the offset strategy here, so he will then be able to come in for a set of the medium tyres, a new set of medium tyres, which, as we all know, are about 8 tenths to a second a lap quicker, I believe, than the hard compound tyres. So come the latter stages of the Grand Prix, I think Stevie has got a good chance there to take the battle onto Runes and look for, hopefully, around about that P4 slot, as Adam Thompson is looking, he's a little bit lonely at the moment, trying to catch up to that pack, but he has pitted also, so does have 3 to 4 lap younger tyres, having served that pit stop. So the gap's now forming lap 16 of 31 here in Singapore. Singapore, should I say. Wow, that was a tongue twister. I don't know. It's a fun race, I swear. So yeah, the Marina Bay Street Circuit. This happens to me last time. I don't be surprised if I say they cross the start finish line. Checker flag is out and they win in Hungary.
Is that just because you're hungry, mate?
No, I'm absolutely stuffed. I had some ramen beforehand.
This race has been incredible, though, for what we have seen. Even though we've only got 12 drivers, well, 11 drivers now. I think BR8 just hit the wall. They've just kissed the wall there very briefly. However, this race, even with the number of drivers we've got, it's kept us on our toes the whole time. We're looking at BR8 and Bomber now. BR8 really trying to go in and lunge. Oh, there's contact.
Contact!
That is contact into what is turn 8. Bomber able to stay ahead, he wasn't spun or anything, but there could be a little bit of damage there for BR8. He went just for that lunge, didn't he, on the inside? Wasn't going to work. Bomber closed that door hard, and well, we could see even more as Bomber, he had a bit of a slide into the wall there, so they're going to go into the hairpin. As we have a look at a replay now, and yeah, there was contact, BR8 just on that corner, but we're going to move away from the replay because here comes BR8 in the DRS straight and goes up into P6. Bomber, though, may have a second chance at it.
Yeah, BR8 looks like left front wing end plate, the damage for him, but does get the double dose of DRS. Now that is Stevie Mack in the pits onto the medium tyres as predicted. They can get to the end of the Grand Prix. We saw some of the medium tyre runners push until lap 14 or 15. If you do your math, I think he's going to get to the end of the Grand Prix. But currently, Stevie 11th in the championships with only 2 points to his name, getting unfortunate with ISP issues, shall we say. But you know, an unfortunate driver crashed at the start of Silverstone. He was collected in that three-way, I believe the three-way collection right at the start of Silverstone, and obviously the internet issues in Spa. So big results for Stevie. Now has that tyre offset that can get him back up into the points. Well, I say higher up into the points. So huge win for him. That could possibly be on the cards. Not really any movement going on. Luke Stepney and Phoenix. Phoenix just setting that fastest lap of the Grand Prix and just eking away a little bit more of that comfortable margin from Stepney. Adam Thompson, a bit of a lonely race for him at the moment, but probably not as lonely as Runes. BR8 6 seconds behind him, and Runes 16 seconds. And Phoenix now showing that speed on them new sets of hard tyres, goes even faster now, looking for that bonus point for fastest lap. 132, I think it was 132.1, I believe it was.
Yep.
But it pops up so quick.
Pops up so quick, goes away even quicker. That seems to be that you could say it's the fastest pop-up rather than the fastest lap. But yeah, I mean, Stepney Luke, he is trying, and do you know what? I said it before the race. Keep an eye on Stepney Luke. I think he could have a real good battle here. And you know what? P2, considering I don't think I've seen him this season, absolutely incredible, especially around this track. Adam Thompson and Runes really both having a bit of a lonely race here. 9 seconds the gap for Adam Thompson. Runes has a 16-second gap between him and Adam Thompson, and BR8 6 seconds behind. So it's now just playing the long game, hoping that mistakes come. We've seen it in this first half of the race. It could come in the second half as well. And if those battles carry on, we will see it. But could there be a safety car? You know, me and you were talking about the team game. It just leads us to 2008, doesn't it, Jack, with Crashgate?
Yes, it does. But speaking of Crashgate, I don't think we're going to quite see one just yet, but we should all know the story. But Stevie Mack, BR8, a little bit of a mistake, closed up about 3 to 4 tenths on Stevie in that last lap. That wing damage affecting BR8, especially through this second sector, these 90-degree right-handers, and missing that left-hand end plate. Aero doesn't work if there's nothing in the way. So are we going to see Stevie now get the move? He's 2 tenths. He is close to, looks to the inside. Thinks better of it. He has another DRS zone here. Does get the traction down. You can just see how much more grip he has on them fresher medium tyres. This could be the overtake move. Done and done. BR8 goes defensive. Very defensive. Nearly squeezes Stevie into the wall. But Stevie does enough, a little bit over speed. And in front, that they go as the sun is really setting now here in... oh my lord, Singapore. There we go. And I've just realised something, George.
Go on.
It's not night time.
It's not night time. That's something we might have to speak about with the producers there. We're in twilight. This is what normally Abu Dhabi starts us.
I don't know why, but I have literally only just noticed because I've been staring at the cars and the street lamps, and it's just when the sun dipped a certain height, then I realised
It
why
kind
is
of
the
came
sun
up.
out?
Yeah, it came up with that kind of golden look to it, didn't it? Maybe it was just the settings. Maybe someone's just not done the settings correctly. But you know, I think it's interesting. It's still nice. You know, we're still getting incredible races. See there, BR8 hugging that curb a lot there, and lost a bit of time to Stevie Mac. Just problem with this game, you go over the curbs. What will happen is the car will essentially beach on it and skid over it. So then you just got your car's not having any contact with the ground, and you're going to lose time for it. I think that's what happened to BR8 there. Is he did he lock up a tyre there going into that hairpin? I'm not 100% sure. But Stevie Mac now starting to run away a little bit, and that gap starting to go away. We look at Spinsy and Carhill though, coming into what I think is turn 7. Yep, the old Singapore sling, and then into turn 8 and 9 here and over the bridge. This battle is going to go to the end. We see here, though, Spinsy on the inside of the hairpin. That's the move that could send him. He's going to have DRS as well to be able to get away from Carhill because he was in that detection point and was able to run away and get the overtake done before the activation point. So Spinsy, really good chance there, and is able to kind of keep hold of it because Carhill is, well, over a second back now.
Yes, that was a move, and that was a critical move that he wanted. Gets himself that extra point as George now comes in. We said it earlier, he had to pit for a new front wing with that little bit of contact he had quite early on.
Could it be
Slaps on
soft?
the hard tyres. I think it will be medium compound. The softs can't last that long. Or is he double stacking with the hard
Double
tyres?
hards.
He might not have an extra set of medium compound tires. It only a used set, but will have a fresh set of the hards by looks of it. Yes, he has. So that's George now committing to the end of the Grand Prix.
Oh, look at
as
Bomber.
expected, that 2-stop. Bomber Brown on. Carhill looks to the outside of turn 6. Pretty straightforward, but Bomber Brown's is actually, let me try again in English, he's ran out of deployable energy to use. There is no more battery power left in that car, so he's not going to be able to go defensive against Carhill unless he finds a way to harvest. You can see now he is harvesting all the way down towards turn 10. A little bit more harvesting going on through here, and it looks like a little bit, I think that's Spinsy, that he can just see the rear wing up ahead. As there goes Spinsy now round the hairpin.
Adam Thompson's in again.
Adam Thompson is in the pits again. At a 3-second penalty for Stevie Mac. So that's, I believe, Stevie's second penalty up onto 6. Adam Thompson is. I wonder why he's decided to come in. Maybe he's just sort of a free. Well, there's not really clean air.
No, I think maybe he's got damage. Maybe it's an issue. Maybe he's collected a wall. He's got a little bit too tight wall, and the end plate was just too much. It is interesting why he has come into the pit lane again. So we'll have to try and see what happened there. Maybe we don't even know what tyres he's on at the minute. So maybe he's come in for a set of mediums, but we're not too sure. Carhill does now come into the pit lane as well. Hog Double Dog, what's happened to Chewy? Chewy, I think he had a 10-second time penalty, so when he's pitted, it's spitted him out quite far away from the pack now, hasn't it? So because of that 10-second time penalty earlier on in the race, it has popped him right down the back, and it's going to be a bit lonely from now on, I think.
That it is, but still, it's lap 22 of 31 here in Singapore. Got it right first time. Plenty to go. 9 laps left in the Grand Prix, if my maths are correct. Yeah, close enough.
Just about.
You got lap 31 plus a lap. So, yeah, we could see incidents happening. It's usually about this time of the Grand Prix that drivers do start to feel a little bit more fatigued, and you do start feeling tired. You start looking up, you start missing your braking points, and these walls come at you thick and fast, and we've seen it already. A couple of knocks against the wall, a couple of squeezes up against the wall, and more importantly, that bridge section where it is so difficult to get the traction down. And even here in the sling, you take the curb a little bit too much, it bounces you off. Ride that inside curb. You want to watch out in case you grind out the bottom of the car, you bottom out the car, and there is nothing, and you are just a passenger from that point. But Phoenix pretty much been leading the Grand Prix since the start or the pit stop. out qualifying the nearest, out qualifying Stepney by well, what did you say? Was it 9.996?
998.
998.
998.
That is quite literally about 4 years, as Adam Thompson is on the back of BR8. Yeah, 4 years in Formula One. That's what that feels like. Tuck it in behind, getting in that dirty air. Not really much you can do. Kiss to the gearbox, into the diffuser. Needs to be careful with that. Adam Thompson's trying to gain or get as many positions as he can. Is it a fresh set of the mediums? Looks for the double switchback. Or the double dummy. Goes a little bit deep. The switchback is on for BR8. They are now side by side. Down into turn 15 they go. DRS advantage to Adam Thompson. Still almost side by side. Ekes ahead. BR8 not giving up. Looks to go for the inside, but not close enough that time round. And away Adam Thompson goes. Fresh set of medium tyres on that car. And the hunt is on to catch Stevie Mack. His lap 23 of 31. And 6 seconds up the road. We know he's got the pace, but can he do it?
This is incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible, this Grand Prix. Something's happening all the time. And you can see there, Adam Thompson really starting to pull away. He's out of the DRS for BR8. So BR8 just having to rely on that energy. But Adam Thompson, he is absolutely flying this evening. Just trying to get through the pack and try and get back onto those podium places. He's got Stevie Mack ahead, 5 seconds ahead. If he can cut that down, we don't have a lot of laps to play with now. If he can cut that down quickly, he could be on for a podium here. And, you know, that it could be a very interesting evening.
It can, and I don't think Runes has got the option to essentially overcut Stevie Mack, because if he pits now, that'll put him out down into P6. In that battle between BR8 and Adam Thompson, or that battle that would be, as Runes gets a 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits. But I saw something else pop up then. Did Runes just get... Yep,
I think
Runes
he did.
I'm slightly confused. Did Runes just get 2 penalties into one? I saw it pop up on my screen twice. And Stepney Luke, though, into the pits onto, I believe that was very wide there from Runes. He's looking to battle Stepney, and I can't quite see the tires. Oh, Stepney though, he comes out of the pits, and it looked like across the white line, getting a little bit too eager to come out the pits there. So could that have been a huge mistake, and a costly one at that, because when you exit the pits and he clatters the wall onto the exit of turn 5. The battle is still going on. Sends it up the inside against Runes. And now Stepney back in front into that P2 position. Phoenix, if he wants to, has now got a free pit stop. And I'm sure Runes is just want to keep battling. But I don't think there's going to be much in it left. At hard tyres, old hard tyres versus a new set of mediums. So I guess Stepney saw the gap, went for the pit to try and just stay ahead. So why not have fresher tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix, he says.
Well, exactly that. You might as well have those fresher tyres for the end, so then you can get that advantage to make sure he's shouting. I think he's just trying to stay. Oh, Phoenix with a 10-second tyre penalty! 10-second tyre penalty for Phoenix there. I wonder what has happened. Why is he spelling the pit lane? Is it just because he came in a little bit too hot? Luke Stepney now has to put the pedal to the metal to be able to take the race win here. He doesn't need to pit again. He's got the fresh tyres. If he can get ahead or even get within those 10 crucial seconds, Luke Stepney might be getting his debut win in the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. This is going down to the wire now, Jack. I love it.
It really is. You can see that delta now crawling down 8 seconds. Phoenix is out of the pit lane, so he has made it around turn 2, and the gap between him and Stepney now 3.1 seconds. A move at the back there for Bomber on Spinsy, so that's Bomber up into P7, so making amends for that qualifying. Luke Stepney literally now just has 7 laps to stay within 10 seconds of Phoenix. He doesn't need to worry about Runes behind. Runes, I believe, has got 6 seconds penalties, so that is ruled that one out. As long as Stepney can keep it clean. We saw this happen in Spa with Adam Thompson, Edward, and Runes themselves. Adam Thompson got the podium because he's in the same position that he is at the moment. He's within 3 seconds of Stevie. that time's going to get applied at the end of the Grand Prix. He gains a position from there. If he gets close enough to Runes, if he's got 6 seconds, that's Adam on the podium already. But Stepney Luke can take the win here in Singapore if he keeps it within the white lines, keeps it clean with only 6 laps left to go, and stays within that magic 10 seconds of Phoenix. And I'm sure he will not be happy about that.
No, Phoenix will be kicking himself there. It's the last thing that you need, especially this far into the Grand Prix. Stepney Luke, again, like you said, he just needs to keep it cool, calm, and collected going into, and he's just set the fastest lap, 1:31.3. Now, this is mainly because Stepney Luke is on new tyres, and he's been able to get a full lap in with these tyres. And you've got to remember as well, Jack, the medium tyre, it takes maybe a lap or two to get switched on and get warmed up and really grippy. So that's his advantage over the past couple of laps, especially while Phoenix was in the pit lane, in the sense that on that outlap for Phoenix, Stepney Luke, his tyres are warmed up, they're ready to go and have more grip. But now Phoenix has got that grip. We can see that timer just starting to increase. That gap's increasing. But will it be enough with this many laps to go? I'm on the edge of my seat here, mate. Absolute. This is cinema. Absolute cinema.
I was just going to say in the chat, everyone is literally saying absolute cinema as to what is going on in this Grand Prix. With only 11 cars remaining on track, lap 26 of 31. I feel like this race is going unbelievably. It's just slowed down at this point. If everything feels like it's in slow motion, because anything can happen towards the end of the Grand Prix. George on Spinsy, looking to get up to P8, looks for the double dummy. Not quite close enough, but that is down into turn 5. DRS.
Oh, he goes!
And there goes George up into P8 ahead of Spinsy. 7 seconds behind Bomber Brown. So could still make that, still could get an extra position here. As Phoenix now responds, he is on the new set of medium tyres. So there is now the fastest lap trade-off. And a point to note for the viewers about the bonus point for fastest lap is that you have to be within the top 10 come the checkered flag in order to receive that bonus point. If you get the fastest lap, finish 11th and onwards, that point does not get awarded. But the gap ahead, 5.1 seconds between Phoenix and Stepney Luke. Spinsy gets a little bit squirrely on the exit of the hairpin, trying to get the power down and the rotation. A little bit too eager, but still hanging on to the back of George BLs. George gets a great exit out of turn 14.
Yeah, Spinsy had a bit of a slide coming out of there. You can see on the wheel he hasn't to correct himself. He's locking up the brakes a lot as well. He needs to be smoother on these brakes, not allowing him to lock. I think he did it a lap ago, just into turn 8, I believe. Had that little bit of an issue there. But we got to remember as well, with Stepney Luke, this would be his first ever win on his first ever race in the Pro League. A debut win on your debut. That could happen. It's 6 seconds now. The gap's increasing. We've only got 5 laps to go, Jack. It's still a possibility, but Phoenix is really starting to push now. We're looking at Adam Thompson, though, on Stevie Mac. That gap, 0.7 of a second. It is increasing, however, but we need to wait and see on battery deployment, especially near the end of the race. DRS still active, but I think Stevie Mac might just get away with it there, and he might break him out of the DRS, hopefully, before the first DRS zone out of turn 5.
Yeah, all to play for these couple of drivers. That gap has been closing, but he is under pressure from Adam Thompson as they come thundering down into turn 1. Adam Thompson, no, 3-second penalty. He's kept it clean. It's the commentator's curse, you can say, but he's kept it clean this entire time. And now between him and Stevie Mac, does Stevie have 6 seconds of penalties? I can't quite remember, but at the moment, as it stands, it is an on-track battle between these two. And looking ahead, Phoenix now opening that gap to 6.9 seconds, has 3 laps to increase that to 10 seconds. So we've seen Phoenix do this before, saves all his battery. You can see now his 50% battery coming out of turn 13 down to 14. Does not have the DRS. A little bit further back, Adam Thompson and Stevie Mac gets a little bit squirrely, locks up the brakes in that behind Stevie Mac, and almost made contact. Well held once again. Adam Thompson's got some skill when it comes to controlling the car when it gets from underneath him. We saw it earlier coming out of turn 13.
Oh, Adam Thompson there probably just sat there thinking, why did I do that? I'm so tight on him now, especially with the penalties. It's fighting for position now. If Adam Thompson didn't get the penalty, he probably would have been shot into 4th place. However, it's now all to play for. Adam Thompson has to get past Stevie Mack here, and he's only got a couple of laps to do it. We're keeping an eye on the gap at the top. It's slowly increasing. I don't know whether it will get to 10 seconds near the end, but Adam Thompson now really sitting on the back of Stevie Mack. Is there a chance he's going to have a look for a lunge into turn 1? He is going to look for a lunge into turn 1. It's tight. They're side by side. Adam Thompson slides again on the exit into turn 3. And he's still not too far back. He'll still have the DRS. But
that was some clean driving.
That was some clean driving not to collect himself into a wall. And now he's going to have a look down out of turn 5 into turn 6. He's side by side and gets past Stevie Mack now for P4. Is he going to be able to stay there? At the moment, we do not know. But if we go back to it's Stevie Mack almost into the wall on the exit of turn number 8. That looked like it was going to be curtains if he was going any quicker. But going back to what we're looking at the top, Phoenix needs to build a gap between 0.7 and 0.8 of a second per lap now to get the win. It's looking that way, but 3 laps to go, Jack.
Yep, 8.3 seconds. So that lead is slowly slipping away from Luke Stepney's hands, but some great battling that's been going on down at the back with Stevie Mack and Adam Thompson. Nice, clean racing, but you can see there Stevie Mack, his tyres aren't looking too pretty. Rear right at 58%, so won't reach puncture territory. But there you go on the screens. You can see there the penalties that have been, or that will be applied unless served in the pit stops. Phoenix with 10 seconds of penalties. Runes Adam Thompson with 3 seconds. Stevie Mack does have 6 seconds of penalties for exceeding track limit twice. You get 3 strikes and you are out. Well, you're not out, you're still in, but you just get a penalty. Exactly demonstrated at perfect timing from Mr. Carhill over here. That was actually perfectly timed. So that's what the current situation is at the moment. But Adam Thompson does get the position on track with only 2 laps left to go in the Grand Prix. 8.8 seconds is the gap now Phoenix has on Luke Stepney, but Stevie Mack down the back is not, I'm rhyming now for some reason, is trying his best to keep up with Adam Thompson. Adam Thompson up there. Runes currently on his own, not really too much pressure going on for him, but I think Luke Stepney may have had a little bit of a mistake down at the back. 9 seconds. This is going to come down to the wire. Looks like Phoenix is a bit quicker in that final sector more than anything. So a little bit of a lonely race. Spinsy and George still have a chance to swap positions down at the back. George on Bomber Brown. Looks like that fight may happen as we now have started the last lap of the Grand Prix. We need to keep an eye on that time up at the front. Is what can Stepney Luke do
to
dropping. Stay within, and he's actually closed the gap on Phoenix. So Phoenix may have had a little bit of a mistake there, and this just needs to go for 19 corners, and that will be that done nicely for him. So George, there's so much happening still, and we're nearly done.
We're nearly done. This race has flown by. It looks to me that Phoenix had a little bit of, he went wide and probably rode the curb a little bit out of turn 1, so that's going to lose him time, and he's still riding the curbs now. He's got to be so careful now, especially if he wants to take the win. No errors. Phoenix on the slide! That could be the race-defining moment if Stepney Luke keeps it clean. As we saw, George Biel's just got up to 7th there. But if Stepney Luke keeps it clean, that's the race-defining moment there. Phoenix slipping up at the last hurdle. Jack, check a flag. It's coming up next.
This is absolute insane racing here in Singapore. We still got some battles going on up and down the field. 9.6 seconds is the gap so far. He started from pole. He comes round the final 2 corners to take the checkered flag here.
It's another 10-second penalty.
Got it correct, and the 10-second has been applied. So Luke Stepney still has to cross the line. 9.3 seconds. Luke Stepney takes the win from Phoenix. by 500ths of a second across the finish line following that penalty. Luke Stepney, his debut race and his maiden podium here for the BFBS the Pro Series Season 2 featuring Formula 1. You know what I mean. But absolute outstanding racing up at the front. Runes crosses the line 23 seconds behind the pack, does finally get onto that podium with Adam Thompson in fourth, Stevie Mack in fifth. So a good haul of points for Stevie Mack. Started on
Chewy's
two
retired
into this, and Chewy has just DNF'd. We're not sure what happened with that one. George BL is hopefully next across the line, needs to stay ahead of Bomber Brown, and then it will be Spinsy as Cahill, one lap down, takes the flag. But these three on track are still battling it out. Spinsy, if Bomber has a little bit of a mistake, Spinsy could take it. Not the case for this one. George BL comes around the final corner to take the checkered flag, but Phoenix started from pole, takes the checkered flag, but with a costly mistake in the pits.
I
And it's
am
as simple
lost for
as
words.
that.
I'm just lost for words, Jack. What a race we have had this evening. We said it going into the race last week. We said it this evening. This was going to be spicier. And I'm telling you now, it was spicier than probably the ramen that you have for your dinner. Or if you went down your local Indian before the race tonight, it's probably spicier than a curry you get there.
Terrible. But you mentioned about lost of words. I completely forgot the name of the winner. I had it all lined up, and I completely forgot Luke's name. So, it is what it is, but well deserved. And spraying that champagne is exactly what I would want to be doing for the first race of this season. Unbelievable stuff.
Well, I've just got to say, first of all, you two, are you okay? You holding on in there? You can breathe now, I promise. How are you both after all of that?
I'm utterly speechless, mainly because I'm out of breath. My throat is now hurting me. But my lord, what a race that was!
I think I'm going to need to lie down.
I don't blame you. I think I might too as well. Now, you know what? How we're going to break this down, because I think there's so much that we could talk about, but I don't want to keep you guys here forever. So we're going to do the good, the bad, the ugly, I think. So let's start with the good. Highlight moments that you just want to sing from the rooftops about.
I don't. There's too many. There is too many. It's just all the battles, the side-by-side battles, the little bit of contact. Even George managed to do a perfect pirouette on the bridge. You know, it was the whole thing was just good. There's no question about that. It was just good. I'm genuinely speechless.
It was constant drama. No matter where you were looking on track, there was constant drama, whether it was kind of throwing it into a wall, whether someone was making moves into corners, or even if it was just a penalty, a simple penalty, like we saw with Phoenix at the end. It changed everything. I am very surprised we did not get a safety car at all. And even then, it was in a place where safety cars should have come out, really, because it was on that DRS straight. So it was strange how the safety car didn't come out. But wow, definitely one for the history books, I think.
One for the history books. Now, the bad, things that you'd like to see improved, moments that weren't catastrophic, but you definitely raised your eyebrows at here.
George, you could take this one.
Oh, to be honest, there was a lot of contact. Now, of course, contact in this sport, it technically is a non-contact sport, so you don't want to be seeing those wheel-to-wheel kind of bashing. So we did see a lot of that, and it can change a race. You know, too much of that, there's wing damage where your downforce is going to be taken away. It could even be a race-ending thing. Luckily, no one had a race-ending collision with another driver this race. But I think what the drivers got to remember is remembering to leave that space. We did see, I can't remember who went off. I think it was with Stevie Mack. They went into, I think it was turn 16, 17, got pushed wide. He did give the position back going into turn 1, which would have avoided a penalty. However, as Fernando Alonso once said on the radio, very famously, all the time you have to leave the space.
Is there anything else you want to add to the bad there, Jack?
No, I mean, it's like George said. It's like there is a limit of where you can get away with wheel-to-wheel racing. And it was when you were saying in that turns 16, 17, it was Runes with Stevie Mac that was battling. But if you think a few laps before that one, I think it might have been Runes and George BL having a little bit of fight where they were pretty much side by side going all the way from turn 5 through to turn 8. But when you come to turn 9, another tight left-hander before the Singapore Sling, the outside becomes the inside in a 90-degree track is where you want to be. So George had to have bailed out on that one. And that was that fighting. But there was a lot of contact in there. I think they were quite lucky that the game didn't do what it usually does. And when you hook the tires together, you're both gone. So I think they got very lucky with that one. But it was hard racing. And it was borderline. I'll say borderline.
Now, the final category, the downright ugly moments where you had your heads in your hands, moments that just made you stop and question everything you'd known from your career. Tell us about the ugly.
Phoenix's penalty at the end, and I'm getting in there before you, George.
Speaking of that one.
The thing is that racing against Phoenix, and I've raced alongside him for quite a few years in different in services and stuff. It is very rare, almost extremely rare, for him to make a mistake like that. And I said at the start, I was like, someone's going to get caught speeding in the pit lane. He was the last person I would have thought that would happen to. And it just goes to show at the end, he's still a quick driver. He still managed to pull almost at 10 seconds with 4 or 5 laps to go, and just lost out by 0.05 of a second. And that's going to be the ugly bit for me. And he's probably devastated. And I'm actually devastated that happened as well. He was running away with it, but just a simple mistake. And it could be literally 1 kilometer an hour different going into the pit lane. It's brutal.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jack there. This is the nature of this game. Unfortunately, 1 kilometer an hour over, that is going to ruin your race. It's the same in real life as well. Even if you're 1 kilometer an hour in, and not only are you getting maybe a 10-second penalty, a drive-through penalty, you're also in real life you're being fined. I think it's €1,000 per kilometer hour over the speed limit. So if we were in real life F1, not only would Phoenix have just lost the race, he's giving £1,000 away.
Offering,
I'll take it.
Take the money.
I'll take it. We'll split it 3 ways.
Sounds good. Anyway, we're going to go to a little bit of a break just while we get the final leaderboard ready. We're going to let Jack and George have a little bit of a break because you guys have earned it, and we'll be back very soon to close out qualifier number 3. Absolute pandemonium, and it has come to an end. We've got the final standings ready for you. I mean, it's been a little bit spoiled already, but let's take a little bit of a look at how everything has fallen, how the chips are settled, and how the points are going to be distributed here. Now, Stepney Luke, we talked about it. First race in the BFBS Pro League takes a victory. Now, do we think we can expect to see this going forward, or do you think that Phoenix might have revenge on his mind already?
I think it's not so much revenge. I think it's more of a like, where did I go wrong? It's like, did I brake at the wrong point going into the pit lane? You know, where can I learn from this and move on to the next Grand Prix? So I don't think he's out for revenge. He knows he's got the pace. He opened up 10 seconds nearly in 5 laps. So yeah.
If he had another lap, he would have taken the win, but it just came too little, too late for him, didn't he? Again, it's even it's even just the fact of, you know, this happens. We said it at the start though, that pit lane limiter line comes up so quickly. This was bound to happen. Unfortunately, it did happen to Phoenix, and I think he's gonna come in for redemption when we go into next week and try his hardest to not allow it to happen again. Because it's again that pit lane speed limit line at the next track. It does come up quickly, which we will announce shortly. I'll let Affinity do that. But it does come up quick, and this is going to happen. And unfortunately, it happened to Phoenix. But next week, maybe he'll come back fighting a little bit more. Could we see more of the same? Potentially.
We will have to see indeed. Now, you mentioned it briefly there. Next week, we're heading over to Austria. Now, personal thoughts and feelings on this map, on this racetrack. What are you thinking? Because this week's a little bit chaotic. Next week, what can we expect from the vibes?
I think it's going to be just as exciting. Austria, I should say. Quick track, only 9 corners. Plenty of opportunities to overtake. You've got the DRS from the start finish, the DRS from basically turn 1 all the way up the hill to turn 3, and then another DRS straight after that. And I also think it's going to be a little bit chaotic because the turn-in or the corner at turn 3, top of the hill, is practically a 90-degree right-hander, if not a little bit more. So we could see some late moves going into there, some contacts possibly side by side, drivers getting forced off the tracks and then lunges down into turn 4. It is anyone's game, and I'm a personal fan, so I think we're going to see it a little bit more chaotic, and a lot of strategy needs to be involved here with it when it comes to when you use the battery and when you try and save the battery. Very easy to do around here.
Yeah, you already said it up into turn 3, Jack. You know, we saw the incident with Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen in the real life race last year. That is going to be a point where all the cars have to be extremely careful because not only, like you said, it looks to be a 90-degree right-hander, it's also uphill. So sometimes if you're not looking too far forward, you could actually have a bit of an incident from a slower car who's trying to stay out of the way, faster car behind, and could turn into a bit of a crash, but hopefully it doesn't come to it. But this track I do absolutely love, the Red Bull Ring, or it used to be called the Österreich Ring, and it is a track. I think it's one of the shortest tracks on the calendar, so it's going to be a very quick lap and very, very interesting.
Now, all of that chaos and fun yet to come. That will be happening next week, of course, next Monday. Start time at 7:30. Stream will go live a little bit earlier than that as well if you want to hear all of us yapping. But that is going to be it from today. We're going to go because I think the two of you need to go have a nap. You need to go have a snack. You need to go decompress after all of that chaos. But we will see everybody next week. Plenty more races still to come. The BFBS Pro League qualifiers. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you next week.